So welcome to Midweek Wardy's Waffle, an update. Just heading up to Darlington. Got a few things going on, talking at the conference. You're going to see that towards the end of this update. Also looking here at the Manitou. We've got the Manitou back working again now. Also looking at the combine. We are finally getting the combine chopper repaired from when it run into a tractor at harvest. So let's crack on with this update. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at the end. So it's Monday morning and Ryan's turned up from Russell's to do the combine winter service, and of course we've also got the chopper at the back to look at, so Ryan's going to look at that as well and probably going to take it off and take it back with him, and they're going to repair it back at their yard. So the first thing to do is strip it down and take it off. Right, Ryan, what have you got to do to get this off?
So we've got to unbolt it at the hinge points,
which are
just up here,
one there,
where it pivots,
yeah,
on this linkage here. Take this linkage off,
yeah,
disconnect these pipes,
yeah,
and the wiring loom.
And you think that's it?
And then probably have some of the panel work to take off.
Yeah. And then the same the other side?
Yeah, same the other side.
Yeah.
Hopefully most of it will come off then.
Yeah, that'll do it. And got the shed doors shut because it's windy outside and cold in here, so... Oh, here's your... You can see a bit better here. On there. Down here. The combine's in here, we'll just see how they're getting on. Got the heater in here. Oh, got it all off. How does this light switch on, Ryan? Just get a bit of light around the back. There we go. So just let's... So you can see there what was damaged when the tractor hit it. This back corner, and the discs are here are bent. Let's just move that there. There, and then in there as well. But is there much here? A little bit. That could be straightened out. Is that all there is then? So nothing that way's been damaged? Yeah, that's good. That's lucky. So it's all that part. See that there as well. So that side's all angled down there. Well, it should be the same as that, all level. Just spotted as well, Ryan, a furry friend there. Been there a while by the look of it. So I'm fresh back from NFU Council, now at Darlington up north. On the way to a grain conference tomorrow, staying overnight tonight, and then talking so we'll have a full catch up about that when it occurs. So I'm in the car now with Peter on the way, and this is where we are, the Darlington Arena.
Formerly home of Darlington Football Club, which is now I'm not quite sure which rugby club it is now.
Right.
Malden Park.
Is that what it is? There we go.
And obviously, back in the day, the Human League are here, Andrew, in August.
Oh, that's...
That was showing my years there.
Yeah, well, I used to... They were a good group, they
Yes.
were, Human League. I used to like their music, and I don't think I've been to see them, but I did like it. So, this is who's asked me to come and speak. They've got a winter meeting on. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're just about to start. We've got nearly everybody's here, and it's always very difficult when you're up in this part of the world, because I'm a football fan, and you never know whether to mention Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Newcastle, because there's huge rivalry up here. Obviously Darlington's lower league, they're not non-league, but there's always a huge rivalry with football up in the northeast, and if you're not careful you get your head caved in if you mention the wrong club.
Very much for coming. Just a couple of housekeeping things first. Toilets are down there. Please make sure your phones are switched to silent. Morning of speakers for you today, with a lot of different things that are there. It's probably not from my presentation about the grain market, but we'll try and find something positive to finish with anyway. As I said at the start of the year, or going back to last year, things look pretty bleak. Didn't really get an awful lot better all the way through. Our wheat harvest was 30% down to one of the lowest that we've had over the last few years. We had a huge opening stock figure that came through, mainly because the spread between old crop and new crop was really wide, that actually it meant that we could look to move grain from last year into this current crop. Sort of the pricings of everything that we've seen over the last year, I mean, barring the middle of the year there, where there's some opportunities to push up towards that 220, 230 level on the for selling for May this year. It's been pretty average, static from harvest all the way through here. The top line there is the average of the last over that period, and that was just shy of 200 quid. Interestingly, the 10-year average is around about 190 quid. So actually, prices that we've currently got at the moment are quite similar, but actually they're not really that bad. And to put it in context, the 10-year average of your UKAN is around about 355, which is a little bit more than probably where the values are at the moment. Huge opening stock that we've had here. Our consumption is down a little bit. As I said, that's probably due to the lack of wheat going into the ethanol market. And it's actually going to leave us, bizarrely, with quite a large balance of stock there at the end of it, which is still down from where we've been. But when you think of the year that we've actually had, and if you break it down in simple facts, if we're bringing in or over-yearing 3 million tonnes, imports are massive. The harvest that we actually had, we do have a surplus that's there. So again, just a quick one on the balance sheet, really. It's just a graph form of the previous slide there coming in. I mean, to date, we've imported circa just shy of 1.5 million tonnes of wheat, and just over 1.2 million tonnes of maize. Now, the forecast for imports of wheat this year are around about just over 2.2 million. And this is only for the first 4 months. This is only till the end of November. So we've got quite a long way. So again, why we're not seeing a real rally in terms of our domestic prices is very much down to the amount of imports that are coming in, predominantly coming into Immingham, feeding into those markets around there. Maize is obviously the key driver coming through in global grain prices. The spread between the UK and the EU maize futures is quite key. And actually, in the last 12 months, it's been nearly as high as £40 a tonne, but it's actually come down quite considerably to only about £5 or £6 a tonne now. It's likewise with wheat as well. I mean, if you're looking at wheat coming into the country at the moment, I think French wheat is around about the cheapest wheat that's going, and those levels coming into the UK will be in the low 200s. Obviously, currency has been fluctuating quite a lot over the last couple of months, and while the pound had weakened a little bit, we've started to see that strengthen again, so again, it'll be susceptible to imports coming in. So just flipping forward to harvest 25, this is what the AHDB early bird surveys come out with, and this was back in, I think it was from what had been collated up until November. Just a slight increase in terms of wheat. I mean, even think for the survey that they actually had for last year's wheat, we might have had that hectarage in there, but actually the amount of wheat that was coming through that actually survived all the bad weather would have been an awful lot less. I think the one that's obviously stands out is the uncropped arable area. There's a 51% increase in terms of that, and obviously you don't need to be Einstein to figure out what that's actually from. So for going forward, as I said, slight increase in terms of wheat area. The biggest increases are in the north of England and the Midlands, but again, I think that's more down to obviously the weather conditions. Barley's going to be pretty similar, just a little bit down. Oats up a little bit. Oilseed rape down to the smallest crop that we'd like to see in 42 years. And slight irony, I think, being this year when people are taking oilseed rape out, that oilseed rape looks as good as it has done for the last however many years in the ground at the moment. Pulses are going to be down, but we've got a presentation a little bit later on, which hopefully means that you might put more pulses in the ground. How much will be carried forward into harvest 24? into 25, we'll have to see. That's going to weigh quite heavily on the balance sheet as well. Will Ensis take wheat again? Well, from the indications that we're getting, it's likely to be as late as harvest 26 before we start to see Ensis taking wheat again. So just looking globally, global production of grain pretty similar to last year. Consumption's up a little bit. Balance sheets are actually tight. So again, if you're looking for some positives going forward, this is what we need to be looking at more globally rather than UK wise. Stocks to use ratio on wheat is at an 8-year low. So again, that's something that is going to come through and play a part. And actually, when you look at maize, as I said, is the big grain globally. The big 4 production countries are back 13% in terms of their stocks. So I think that will definitely see an impact going forward. Do we believe in terms of their production figures? But again, if you take out China, who are holding nearly 50% of the global wheat stocks, things are looking very tight again, as I was saying, in terms of what's being held there at the 8-year low in terms of the stocks that are being held by the major producing countries. So basically that shows it down here, well down from anything that we've actually seen in the last 10 years. Corn production, again, China, supposedly 70% of the world's stocks that are there. Again, if not there, then stuff's tight and crops are not going to be quite as big as we've actually been led to believe. Forecasts are going to be down a little bit. I think there's going to be a lot of concentration in terms of what's happening with the weather there. Certainly in Russia, it's either been too cold with no snow cover or it's been too hot and too dry. And I think this will really sort of start to play a part going forward over the next couple of months. In Ukraine, weather seems to be quite favourable, so we'll see a slight increase in terms of their production for next year. Again, just looking at Russian exports, as I said, they've certainly, in terms of their production, looking at production, obviously they've had a really good go over the last decade or so. Their exports, I mean, 2022, 2023 one is a bit of a caveat that's there, because I would suspect that the 2023 export programme found an awful lot of grain that was maybe not coming out of Russia. And they are back, but as I said, that's going to be a key going forward. Quick thing on oilseed rape. Production down, lowest since 83 here in the UK. Consumption still remains close to 1.5 million tonnes, so obviously an awful lot of imports to come in. The main imports coming in are coming from Ukraine and Canada and Australia. In the last 3 months, there's a graph just over on the next bit there, just showing you the wild swings that we've actually had in oilseed rape, and it's made it very, very difficult to really gauge when the best time for anything has been to sell oilseed rape. It's been a pretty downcast market since harvest time. It's only really been since middle of October that we started to see these prices picking themselves up. I think looking at the moment, the amount of imports that are coming in, the crush themselves aren't really looking at taking any UK, or they're not bidding for UK rape until April, May time. But the prices are still pretty good at the moment, certainly into the mid 420s ex-farm. Your bonuses on top of that, you'd be over the 450 level. So just a quick thing on prices. What I've done is I've put the prices in from where we were this time last year when we came. It's actually quite interesting that there is not an awful lot of differences there. The big difference is obviously the oilseed rape level that's there. Oats is a massive difference, but as I said, there was a big export programme going on that. But in terms of the wheat price and the barley price, I mean, you couldn't write it really, could you? If it had been pretty much identical, certainly going forward for new crop. Trump, global trade, South American weather, Northern Hemisphere weather. I mean, you can pretty much go on the bearish side of things. Obviously, the S&D figures, if we're going to continue to import 250,000 tonnes of wheat and maize a month, we're going to have quite a large end-of-year stock coming through. Again, I mean, you could have it being quite bearish in terms of sort of Trump's impact in terms of global trade just on those tariffs there. And South America weather, again, could be a slight bearish factor if actually the weather does pick itself up and the production there isn't as bad as everybody's been forecasting. And then again, Northern Hemisphere, exactly the same. UK, anybody trading the UK futures, or 99% of the people trading those will be within the trade. I think in Europe you'd probably find it 60 to 70% would be in the trade. I think in the US it's probably closer to 50%. Yeah, see if we can figure some of this out. So, I think I had this slide last year, but it doesn't go away really. Risk management is the biggest asset in today's farming, and you can't get away from that. There are some factors you can control in your operation, there's some that you can't control. So the ones you can't control: production costs, growing conditions, price volatility. However, the one thing you control is how you market your grain. It's imperative to have some kind of plan, strategy in terms of going forward. Obviously, the most important goal is to be profitable. Properly understanding your cost of production has to be number one. To sell grain at profit, you need to decide what a good price is. You're never going to be able to hit the top of the market all the time, so you need to know where you want to be and be comfortable at that. Target levels are obviously a good way of doing that. Why is this important? The market will not always offer a profitable price, hence identifying a good price will determine what marketing strategy you use. So what are the options that we've got? There's no right way or wrong way of how you market your grain, because each business is completely different to another one. So again, how can we do that? Grain pools, futures, minimum price contracts, and knowing grain for your market. Again, as I said, there's no right way or wrong way of doing it. If you really want to sit on the fence, you'd sell a third forward, put a third in grain coast pool, and keep a third back for later on, just to see if there are any market improvements. So have harvest, pre-Christmas, June. Wheat, barley and oilseed rape are all there. You get your quality premiums for your wheat and your barley. We have flexible payments, so you can take your money at harvest time. I think those who are in the oilseed rape pool have probably already had the payment for that. But we've achieved 196 for feed wheat. Is that good? People will be happy with that who are in the pool? Yeah, a few nods. You'd like to with the two really in front, wouldn't you? I think compared to potentially what maybe some of our competitors have done, I think it's pretty decent actually. And to just put it in context again, the top line is the average of the November the squiggly lines are the November futures, the top line is the pool, the yellow line is what the harvest pool paid out, so again, still above the average of the short term is going to be key. Again, the weather's going to be key. Global unrest. I mean, we haven't really talked about what impact Trump's going to have in terms of the Russia-Ukrainian conflict that's there.
I think this year we were caught out quite heavily on brown rust. Brown rust can be quite difficult to control in trials, particularly this year when timings were probably more important than product, and possibly looking into maybe a genetic element there as well. Three varieties that didn't do overly well were Costello, Beowulf and Dawson, and they're all sort of coming down from that Costello genetics. Untreated yields, we've got a whole host of varieties that did particularly well. And you might think, again, I want to talk about the fact that there's no real difference between these varieties, but I'd rather highlight something else which I think is equally as important.
We've got our next speaker here, a very busy man, as he showed me last night, with his diary of January, where I think he has 3 empty days for the whole month, and that's even including weekends as well. So to be able to get Andrew up here to come and speak to you all is really exciting.
So, got a good friend here, Andrew Globe. Andrew, you farm where in relation to where we are now in Darlington?
We're 20 minutes south of here at Stokesley.
At Stokesley, and right. So I've known you. Was it since the Farmers Weekly Awards?
Farmers Weekly 2009.
2009, crikey, that's a few years ago. So, and type of land and what you're doing, you're contract farming quite a bit.
Contract farming, yeah, we're on heavy clay loams. Contract farm, family farm, 450 acres. Contract farm, 3,500.
Right, crikey. And machinery, you've got an 8RX, haven't you?
Very similar to you. Two 8RXs, low disturbance tires. Just very much rotation. Wheat, barley, oilseed rape, beans, packet of wheat.
And are you scratching the top or not? You're doing it properly.
12 inches, 11 to 12 inches.
Yeah. And you think that's the best way because
We've got to get air and water in.
Yeah.
Air and water space.
And what about for drainage? What do you like with rivers and things? Have you had any flooding?
Yes, five times, flooding 5 times since September.
Really? Crikey. I know. And EA up your way here, nothing happening?
No, nothing at all.
What do we do?
No assistance.
No.
Just all of us.
I know. It's just horrendous, isn't it? Do you think we ought to have the National Rivers Authority come back? Can you remember those
Yes,
days?
I can.
And do you think it would
Yes,
work?
it does work.
Yeah, I know. And is your local IDB all right? Are they helpful?
No help at all.
No, they're not any help.
No. What do you say, IDB?
Local Drainage Board, internal
No,
drainage.
we don't have a
Oh, you don't
drainage
have
board.
them.
No drainage board.
Right, I didn't realise that. See, we have them in Lincolnshire. We'll have internal drainage boards, all different regions,
Yeah,
different
no,
counties,
nothing at all.
and that helps a lot. So right. So going on to crops, what are your prospects for this year like for this harvest?
Early sown crops look very good. Rape looks good again.
Yeah.
Spring beans, got decent spring beans to go in. Yeah, so no, cropping looks fairly good.
Does it? So you're quite hopeful for a decent
Yeah, the
harvest?
foundations are there.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much, Andrew. We'll just turn to James now.
Yep.
Thanks for that. So, got James here from Grainco. You've been here, what, 26 years?
This is my 26th year here at
Crikey,
Grainco, straight
right.
out of Harper Adams and here.
Yeah, right. And you've got a farm, you say, up near the...
Yeah,
your
so-
family has, near the A66?
Yeah, just south of Scotch Corner, we've
Yeah.
got just over a 300-acre arable farm there,
Right,
which is the first year this year that we're not actually going to be farming it within the family for,
Oh, is
for,
it?
for a
Right,
while. So
yeah,
we've got
yeah.
contractors to come in. So it's going to be a bit of a change.
Yes,
anyway.
that's right. Well, that's right. Well, anyway, but giving you great grounding for this, hasn't it? And
Yes.
everything, and knowledge as well, which is fantastic. And I must admit, your presentation that everybody will just have seen, fantastic details about supply and demand, prices. And you said at the end that if we get a chance to sell anything starting with a figure 2,
With the two, it's
Do
got to be done, whether it's old crop or new crop. I just really believe that that's going to be a good price going forward. I mean,
Yeah.
we're a little bit off in terms of old crop at the moment, and we were talking about obviously the amount of imports coming in, which is really affecting where our prices are going. But
Yeah.
I think going forward, especially the way that the crops actually generally look
Yeah.
quite good. You're saying about how well your wheat's looking at home at
Yeah,
the moment.
yeah.
Again, if we get back up to normal yields and we can see something with a 2 in front of it, I think it's really going to be a sell with a carry forward that we're going to have.
what do you think up here crop prospects are like? What's the crops looking like generally? Are they suffering from the rain?
We've done quite well recently when we've had a lot of rain. The land's soaked it up quite well, but just the recent rains we've had over the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've started to get quite a bit of flooding coming along as
Right,
well. But,
yeah.
I mean, it's varied in terms of the land that's around here as well. The further north, there's a lot of old open castle land that's there where they've really been struggling. But generally, I think the crops look as good at the moment as they possibly can do for the last few years.
What about going on back to marketing and things? How many tonnes or percent? Have many farmers marketed much forward for this coming year?
Very, very little. I think with the price being where it is, and I think there's been sort of quite a lot of negativity in terms of how the industry's been for the last couple of years, and it's difficult for them to look at anything in terms of selling forward, because it seems to me, well, I don't want to be selling too much forward, isn't it? It's always that side of it. And as I said, I had a bit of a ring round last week trying to get towards that £200 a tonne, and there was a lot of people who were quite keen to at least make a start at something that's got a 2 in front of it. Never quite got there, but we're not too far away from it. And I think, it's, I think I said in one of my slides there, we should never really try to look for the top price, because we're never going to get it. We're never going to get it, and if we do, then we shouldn't be farming. We should be doing something else, shouldn't we? So
True.
It's a case of finding a value that's going to work for each enterprise in terms of trying to just see a profit and take the profit while it's there.
Yeah, right, okay. Well, anyway, great. Thanks very much, and thanks for inviting me up here.
No, it's been
Had a
absolutely
great-
fantastic, Andrew. It's been
No.
your waffling's gone well, so
An hour and a half of it, yeah, that's right. So-
yeah. But we'll hopefully have you back up here soon.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great. So anyway, we need to soon get some sort of lunch and catch that train.
Yeah.
Right.
We're going
Thanks,
to
Jake.
go the wrong way around the queue and get the food.
That's all right. We'll gate crash. Thanks, James.
All right. Cheers, Andrew. Thank you.
So just heading out, have a look at the pitch.
It is a waste of facilities.
God, look at this. So Darlington Rugby play here. What's the team called?
Malden Park.
Look at this. And 500 every game, that's all. Spectators. Crikey.
Goals about 20 plus thousand.
20 plus thousand. Look at this. What a waste of a stadium.
Human League are coming to play.
Yeah.
Are they?
Not rugby. Coming to sing. Great. So, train's just arrived now from Darlington, take me back to Newark. So thanks very much for watching this update. Thanks very much if you came to the conference that I've just spoken at. So this is just an announcer saying it's going to King's Cross, this train. So yeah, thanks ever so much for all of you who were at the conference today. Really enjoyed it, or the meeting. I'm now on the train heading back down to Newark. So I'm just going to get one or two shots out the window, because I know when I came up there's quite a lot of land that's got a lot of water on it and crops flooded. So I'll get those and then show you what those are like from the train window. It's a great line, this East Coast line that goes from Edinburgh all the way down to London via Newark, obviously, in about another hour and a half. So that's the end of this midweek update. I'm back at the farm now. You can see it's dark outside. Thanks everybody for coming up, saying hello and coming for the meeting today up in Darlington at Grain Co's meeting. Really good to see you. All of the questions. Apologies for making you late for your lunch. Remember at the start I mentioned about the Manitou. I was at the NFU council meeting, so I didn't actually see the Manitou being repaired, but this is a video that I've been sent from the service manager there at B&B Tractors. So you can see the silver, if you like, galvanized tray, as they call it, that slides up the back of the boom. That's got a lot of hydraulic pipes and connections in it, you can see. And then next to it as well, there is the long yellow ram. Had to replace the ram as well, so that's been replaced. And all of that slides up the back of the boom. You can see there's lots of hydraulic pipes and connectors there as well, but it's really intricate, and that's what is inside the boom, and that's what makes the boom telescope out. All the wires, all the cables inside there, and the ram. So as I say, I couldn't get to see it actually being put together. So thank you, Gareth, for sending this clip through on the Manitou being put back together. So thank you, Manitou, for supplying all the parts and the servicing of it, and B&B Tractors, and as ever, fantastic for support from both companies. Anyway, that's it now for this update. Just going forward onto the weekend's update, on Sunday's update. If you remember at Christmas, I said that I was very lucky and Rhonda had bought me a fantastic Christmas and birthday present, 2 presents in one, which is a 10-day trip to South Africa. So really looking forward to that. That's coming up in this next week or so. Thanks ever so much for watching this update, and we'll see you as ever Sunday morning at 8 a.m. And then next week's update will be from South Africa.